Um, Today, I'm going to talk about a little bit more about the technology in a perspective that, because with Mr. Witkowski talked about the risk and fraud and profitability, financial stability. So, and I thought about maybe it would be really helpful for you guys to look at it from different angle, how to minimize the risks in the company, even though we know that there are a lot of attacks to our companies, from cyber attacks and different attacks happening every day. So I just want to increase the awareness of one of the area of the risks and security initiatives. So what is compliant identity and access management? It is actually a life cycle of identity that everybody in the company has a user ID and manage the user ID, and then when they leave the company, their ID should be terminated. And on the other hand, it is a security discipline that enables the right individuals to access the right information in the right time. So these are very important for the business right now. So just to keep the timeline very quick, so I just want to give you guys a few numbers. There are about 1,400 average numbers of attacks on single organization over the course of a week. So we are doing a lot of business, a lot of projects, a lot of initiatives, right? So we got to think about what happens if I lose all the data. So for example, imagine that your company's customer data is stolen by another competitor. So it's a big risk, right? So, I mean, this number tells us this is happening, though. 1,400 average per week. So incidents per week, 1.7. So 5 most attacked industries are listed here. As you can see, finance and insurance is about 20%. So why compliant identity management and access management is important for the companies? So there are a lot of attacks might be happening, malicious insiders, but inadvertent actors, outsiders. And so the motivation for them is, it could be espionage, financial crime, terrorism, and dissatisfaction with the employer, and job is, as you can see, 15%. The human factor. I mean, we don't have robots right now doing the insurance, right? So even though Google introduced a car without driver and things, but in the company itself, we all have employees, right? We are relying on employees. Employees' trust level, employees' values, and these are very important criteria for us. And you can see 80% of the businesses is depending on the human factor, right? So another angle, so 105 million, 53 million percent, 56%, 74%. These are all some statistical numbers that shows our condition from the risk perspective. I just want to give you guys a different perspective of risk. Not everybody knows about fraud detection, fraud prevention, intrusion detection, intrusion prevention, but I just want to point out, why compliant identity and access management is important for the companies. So, look at this. This 59% have experienced data breach when a user access to an application remain active in error, right? So, 63% of the users are not in control. So in companies, we don't know if we don't really put necessary actions, necessary tools in place. We don't know what our employees are downloading. We don't know what they are really doing, right? So consumer fears are justified as companies struggle to prevent security breaches, right? So it's an interesting statistics. It says employees who admitted they would steal electronic data from their employers. So Americans It's like 1 out of 5 employees admit that they can steal the data. It's the same for Britain. It's 1 out of 2. That means 50% of employees saying that they can actually take the data out from the company. They admit that. So 64% of the users, the companies, cannot audit user activity. This is also very interesting. I mean, we talked about the claims, the preventing some of the fraud activities or monitoring fraud activities and the claims. And we know how important claims payments are. So without having the right auditing, right monitoring system, it would be very difficult to really make sure that we have the right data in our companies. So just not to bother you with all these numbers, just to give you another summary. So identity and access management, technology and methods provide direct support for the compliance requirements for fraud reduction, policy enforcement, risk assessment, compliance, and auditing. So what is identity access management? When we talk about identity access management, we talked about password synchronization, password self-services, segregation of duties, authorizations, roles. All these things are part of identity access management. GRC is called, it stands for governance, risks, and compliance. So when we look for identity management tools or products, so it is these days very important to also embed GRC to be able to make sure that segregation of duties have been established correctly. Just a quick example. Just imagine that when we hire a user, let's say Chuck Brown was, hired the company. After 3 years, he started working on accounting department. And, after a couple of years later, so that person promoted to CRM and marketing side of the house on the west, responsibility on the west side, for example. 7 years he promoted again and became a global responsible salesperson, right? And then, after 8, 10 years later, and Chuck Brown resigns the company, moved to another company, maybe to your competitor, who knows? And all known accounts have been deactivated. But we have seen, this is not really uncommon. A lot of events, a lot of incidents happens because of this. The person who left your company still has authorizations and access. It's very risky, right? So in the company, what can you do with the identity management and GRC type of systems? So you can get the manager approval and then forward to GRC, do some risk analysis for segregation of duty perspective, and then if there is a risk, then you can mitigate the risk and then pass to identity access management system and then provision to the necessary system. It's including emails account, all the ERP systems, all the Oracle systems, SAP systems can be managed automatically. This is fully automated system in the market. Oracle has it, SAP has it, CA has it. It is very important for the companies these days. So you can have the foundational, but if you want to do more to increase the business value, you can do federation, right? Service level management, web access management. And these days, the adaptive authentication is also very important these days. So basically, it talks about the behavior of the user, your employees, right? So then determine the necessary authorization for them. How to implement a compliant identity access management? You need to develop strategy. So you need to have a really good strategy. So this is not only IT initiative. It has to be felt as ownership by the business too, right? And avoid big bang approach. Don't rush. Create your inventories. Start with enterprise level roles. So business benefits, tons of benefits there. So the biggest benefit from my perspective, it really reduces the risk of fraud in the company. So challenges, if you have incorrect strategies, lack of, a lot of staff resistance, what happens? Most of the times, I like to walk normally during the presentation, but because of this restriction. So most of the time, staff usually resist to change. They don't want to have the control. as Mr. Wojciechowski told about, we don't like to control, right? Employees don't like to control too, but we have to control them. We have to really monitor them. So look at this. It's by 2020, 80% of user accesses will be shaped by the new mobile, non-PC architecture. So that means social media, okay, thank you. The social media is going to drive our, as you guys know that maybe the Z generation and Y generation, we all have now using our mobile. For example, I have my bank account in US, and I still have accounts there, and I manage my mobiles, accounts through my mobile account. So mobile device. So it is risky, yes, it is risky, but every company takes necessary actions to be able to eliminate those risks, right? So insurance companies is talking about moving to mobile, moving to cloud businesses, right? So we need to really put some controls around the mobile, then we can have the good business and the right business. 60% of all digital identities interacting with enterprises will come from external identity providers. So these days you can see that Facebook, for example, you have a Facebook ID, then you can log into a lot of applications, a lot of companies. So they let you log in with your Facebook ID. So it is going to be really challenging to manage the identities going forward. This may happen in the future for our insurance business too, right? Who knows? So Internet of Things. If you go any technology seminars, they keep talking about Internet of Things. So that means everything is being managed by Internet now, these days. Your car, for example, can be managed, and your refrigerator, a lot of technological items can be managed through Internet right now. So cloud and mobility is there, Internet of Things there, and growing more digitalized marketplace. And my company even started to have a digitalization strategies. But talking about digitalization strategy is one thing, which is a great thing, but having the right security systems in place is also another thing. You may have digitalized insurance perfectly, but if you don't have really nice, really solid identity and access management systems in place and security systems in place, then it may not make sense to go forward. So identity analytics is also another thing. It actually catches where do you shop. This is true for your customers too. So these days, with the big data, we can sense, we can know now what our customers are interested in, what they do, right? So tracing the credit cards and all others. So it is important that identity analytics is going to be one of the major the value input for our business going forward. So maybe, hopefully, I did not really bother you guys much about the technological things, but it is very important. I just want to increase the awareness just to let you guys know that trusting employees is very important for sure, but putting the necessary control around it is also very important. Not to lose money, not to have a lot of fraudulent activities in our claims payment, right? And not to lose your very sensitive customer data. So I just want to point out those issues to you. Thank you very much.